Welcome to my bathroom, everybody. This is the first time I've actually done a presentation from my bathroom, which is a new experience for me. So if anything I say is crappy or that doesn't go well, you'll know why. I am in the bathroom. And anyway, I wanted to share my story because it's really relevant to spirit groups. It actually all points to spirit groups and started from spirit groups. And this was about 4 years ago when we'll start off with a joke. This guy walks into a church. It's not really a joke. That was me. I walked into a church for the first time, voluntarily walking into a church without being dragged there by my mom. And this was after I had started some midlife crisis therapy with Reverend Jane. And I knew she was a therapist. I didn't really know much about her position as Reverend. I didn't know what unity was. I'd never heard of it. And after going through some therapy sessions and actually really starting to see improvement, and her knowing my position on spirituality and not having any connection to church, God, Bible, anything, she recommended I read this book called The 5 Principles. And some of you who have done spirit groups might remember this book it's one of the main programs on spirit groups, or one main options that you can choose. And we do this one all the time, and I'll talk more about that. But I read this book. And this book was a life changer for me because it was the first time I could really hear talk about God, about the Bible, about spirituality, and not feel intimidated by it. So anyway, I read this book. I was like, this is great. And then she says, well, there's a spirit group starting around the 5 principles. Maybe you want to join that. So I'm like, what's a spirit group? That sounds kind of woo-woo to me, but I'm just like Jane has said, I just say yes. Especially to when Jane suggests something, because I do believe that she has an amazing ability to channel from spirit, through spirit, what needs to be said, what needs to be heard, no matter who you are. And that's one of the amazing things that our community has as a gift. So I said yes. I joined the spirit group. And in this spirit group, I had the first chance probably in my life to actually sit and talk about spiritual things and how I felt about spirituality without being judged, without criticism, without making me feel like I should be doing this or that. It was just like, great, just share how you feel. Let's talk about it. And it was such a cool experience that towards the end of the session of the spirit group, people were saying, well, why don't you come check out Unity? And I knew, well, Reverend Jane's the minister there, so it can't be that bad. But I'm like, I have not attended church in my entire life. And I was about 50 years old at that point, and like no church except for Easter. And I decided to do it. So I went to Unity. Within 2 attendance, I knew this was where I needed to be. It just sank home. I actually got my wife to go too, and it totally turned her upside down because she had not experienced anything like this in a church setting before. And one of the reasons I'm bringing this up is that spirit group, if I had not had that opportunity to get invited to that spirit group, to join that spirit group, to be part of it, without even being part of the Unity community at all, and to feel accepted the way I did, I never would have encountered this amazing transformation in my life. My personal life has turned around to whereas the depression and things that I was experiencing before I started this is gone. I'm the happiest I've ever been in my life, and that has been steady for the past 4 years since I've been a part of our community. And as I started going, Reverend Jane kept asking, how would you like to perhaps host one of our Sunday sessions one of these days? And I said, yes, I'll try it. And so I became a host. Then she said, well, how would you like to host a spirit group, do a spirit group? Why don't you guys lead another spirit group? I said, yes, I will. And then she eventually said, why don't you head up all of spirit groups for our community? And I said, yes. And it was amazing. That opened up more doors. And then she said, maybe you should do a Sunday talk once in a while. Would you like to do a Sunday talk? And I said, yes. I didn't know what I was doing. It was the last thing I ever thought I would do. It'd be speaking at a church. But it just blew my mind. It was such an amazing experience. And then she said, why don't you consider maybe being a Unity minister? I'm like, I thought about it for a few minutes, and they're like, yes, I think I'm going to do that. And so that's the path I've been on. I'm still studying to be a Unity minister. Been going for about 3 years now and working through that, heading up the SpiritGroups Program for our community. And I'm also on the head of the live streaming program for our community and several other things. And I've just been able to get involved in so many amazing, amazing ways. It's literally changed me. But one of the things, the key point that I wanted to share about the way Spirit Groups and our community works, and especially about Reverend Jane, and this is a great example for any of you leaders out there, and whatever level you're leading at, whether as a minister or as a Spirit Group leader, is the empowerment. Jane, as our leader, empowers everybody to get involved. She asks people to get involved, and she has no ego about anybody else stepping on her toes or upstaging her. She invites other people to come and speak, to share on Sunday, and her openness to inviting everybody to step up and live into their light has been amazing. And you hear this throughout our community. People come and they're there for 2 or 3 weeks, and they're like, this is my home. I've never been to a place where I feel like there's so many leaders, so many great leaders. Everybody's participating, doing something, sharing, helping. And I've never been to a place like this. Most people have their leaders, and then there's their followers, and it's not the same. It's not community like what we have. So I think that, to me, is a powerful, powerful message, and it attests to our growth. Our growth as a community has been tremendous in the time that I've been there. We have some numbers we can share, but we're relatively small compared to like Houston. We're a pretty small community right now. We're at about 170 or 80 membership with an average attendance on Sunday of about 140, which is about all we can do because our capacity of our place is 150. So we really can't. We did start second services as well to open that up. But when I started, the average attendance was about 35 to 40 people on a good day. And some days we've had bigger numbers than that, but mostly it was 35 to 40 in a very small little community. So our growth, while we can't say it's entirely due to Spirit Groups, I would say Spirit Groups and the model that Spirit Groups has set up for us, and the model for dealing with people and empowering other leaders has been tremendous. I think absolutely critical and essential to the growth that we've experienced. There's one other thing I wanted to share, and I was just a couple of nights ago, I read this study online, and it really was kind of mind-blowing to me. It was a study that was done years ago, actually not that long ago, but with college students. And what they did was they invited these students to come in. They told them they were going to give them a little memory test or something like that. And they would give them strings of words. And they would just rearrange the words to make a sentence. Okay, so then they were told, when you're finished making up the words, I want you to come into the lobby and let me know, because I'm going to be waiting out in the lobby, and then I'll come back and we'll finish the rest of the experiment. So they would give them these strings of words, and depending on the string of words they gave them, so some people, they gave them words like stress, upset, bother, interrupt, things like that. And then some they gave more positive words. Depending on those string of words, when the student was done putting their sentence together, they would go out to the lobby, and the researcher was intentionally engaged in a conversation with somebody else in the lobby and did not pay attention to the person coming out to say, I'm ready, I'm done. And what would happen was that the people that got the words that were more stress-related, negative, they would walk out there and they would wait a maximum of 2 minutes, basically stand there and watch, and the researcher wouldn't look at them at all, and they were just talking to somebody else. And they would stand there for a maximum of 2 minutes before they would interrupt and say, I'm done, come let me know what I need to do, right? Well, the other people who were given the more positive words would actually come out there, wait up to 5 minutes, and then go back in quietly into the room and just wait until the researcher came, which was like 15 minutes later. So it was interesting to me, it was powerful to me to see how the words, the impressions that we get, even just a few minutes earlier, subconsciously can have a very direct effect on how we appear in the world, how we appear with other people, whether we interrupt them and get upset or whether we just calmly go back and relax. And you're like, wow, when I start thinking about all the impressions that we get every day via words, via media, via the news, I started thinking about people who, I put like little positive affirmations around the house a little bit, but I'm going to do it more now because I realize just seeing those positive words around the house, on the mirror, on my computer, on the walls, those are all setting the stage for what I do every day and how I interact and show up in the world. How powerful, important that is, whether I realize it or not. Even subconscious. That was a cool thing about the study, is they would flash words on a screen so fast that they couldn't actually consciously comprehend them, but just flashing those words subconsciously so fast would actually affect the outcome of what they did next as well, whether it was a positive or negative reaction. So you think about all those impressions we're getting. So where am I going with this? Well, the impression is, it's that regular impression of positive message. And that's where Spirit Groups fits in for us. Is that it's so much it's great to go on Sunday, get inspired, get all excited, and then to go home and go the rest of your week with all the other negative impressions from the world. Why not continue that? That's why my favorite day for a Spirit Group is Wednesday at 6 p.m. because that's right in the middle of my week, right when I'm starting to fade, I'm getting bogged down with work, whatever, and then I jump into my Spirit Group and I'm uplifted. I'm reminded about my spirituality, about my connection to people. And by the end of that, I'm good to go for the rest of the week. Get to Sunday, get my message from Jane, and we're good to go. And now we have more than one gathering a week. So I realized that it's the impressions that are important to making everything in your life flow. Is not just Sunday, but whatever you can do throughout the week to impress upon you great things, spirituality, connection, and Spirit Groups is one of the most powerful ways that we're actually building those connections with people. So takeaway number 2, that repetition, the importance of having the Spirit Groups is the repetition of the spiritual connection that changes your life. And it has for me in a tremendous way. So I wanted to share just a couple of things before I bring Reverend Jane back to share more of her story and information, is what we've been doing with our Spirit Group, some of the different things that we've been doing that I think have been working really well. Number one, of course, we're live streaming, like I think a lot of you have already done. We started live streaming right away as soon as the pandemic hit. And then I took over the live streaming and we've elevated it to a really nice professional level. And we've gotten tremendous feedback. And our membership has actually grown since we've started doing live streaming beyond our face-to-face meetings, which is really exciting. And we've, of course, incorporated the Zoom meetings, and I do Zoom trainings for the hosts. So now I want to do host training for Spirit Groups. It includes very specific Zoom techniques and how to use Zoom when you're actually presenting. So sharing the types of groups that we're doing that have been really, really popular and helpful for us, and the diversity in the groups that we've been offering. So for example, we started doing a couples group a while ago. My wife and I decided to do a couples Spirit Group, and we actually used a book called The Soul of Money by Lynn Twist, which some of you may have heard about. It's a fantastic book. And we put a little more spiritual twist into it, although she does really address it from a spiritual perspective. And this was a really popular group, and it actually gave us the impetus, the incentive to start a couples specific Spirit Group. And we're piloting that now, actually, and Reverend Jane and her husband are in it. And we've got a lot of people actually in it because we're still trying to figure out the structure for it. But we realize that there's a great need for relationship bonding, and Spirit Groups can do that for couples together, not just individuals. Because sometimes we have people come to a Spirit Group and they say, God, I wish my spouse was here to hear this. Like, why, can somebody call my spouse and tell them what we just learned? Because that would be so great for our relationship. And maybe the one spouse is just not into it. They're just not on that same journey as you are. So when we get the couples together, it's really cool because they're all sort of engaged and they're all committed to studying together. So the couples group, we've started men's specific. There's women's group that's really been popular in our community, and they do all kinds of things together. We have LGBTQ groups. We have parenting groups, but I think those affinity, those specialty groups are really important. I think somebody was talking about that earlier today as well, that how important those specialty groups are, because you find that common thing to bind people together. And that really helps to be the catalyst for getting together and then moving into spiritual discussion as well. So that's really popular. One of the things we also do just in our service in general to create engagement, especially right now, like you can go live, you can stream, you can share, but how are you getting those people to be engaged and get them to see each other? You have Zoom rooms. We have a Zoom lobby that we're working on and we've been doing, and that's growing. And we have all of our Zoom meetings and classes. But to show what the community is doing, we've actually started creating videos. So we'll put together videos, and we've done several music videos of our choir and other musicians singing that have been really popular. People love those. And it gets them more engaged, more wanting to come on Sunday to see what's going to be next, what we're going to create. And I have another little video that we had of our kids that we used for one of Jane's talks on prayer. And we interviewed some of our kids in our community remotely, had them send in videos and put together a short video. It's called Kids on Prayer. So I thought I would share that with you. Hopefully technology will cooperate. We can play this for you guys. And then I'm going to turn it over to Reverend Jane to share some of her story. So if you guys are cool with that, let me jump to my share thing and bring that video up.
Hi, I'm Jay, and I like to meditate about how I like to meditate is I sit on my yoga mat and think about positive stuff, closing my eyes. Also guide my mama and Drew in meditations and guide people in meditations too. And those are 2 ways I like to meditate.
To me, prayer is to see what I want to see in the future. For example, Aaron was in the hospital and he really needed help. And so we prayed for him, and he walked out 2 days later.
Meditation is this where you have to close your eyes and this way until it ends.
And how do you feel after meditation?
Good.
There's this song that's called Grateful. And when I'm having a bad day at school, or I'm just feeling bad, I usually listen to it and it helps me calm down.
What prayer means to me is to hope for the best and to not look at the negative side, but to keep looking and hoping for good things in life, and to every night say something that will hopefully become good and will hopefully become true, and something you want very much, for like to be with my friends, for an example. Prayer means to me is to hope.
To me, prayer is the easiest and closest way to experience the true power, the true presence, the true Spirit of God. And I think prayer is just an affirmation. I can affirm for love. I can affirm for health. I can affirm for happiness. And when I pray, the most powerful part of prayer to me is when I pray, I can feel it and I can see it inside of myself. And when I see it, I can release it into the world.
All right, I think we're back here from that video. That was just one of the fun things that we've been doing to create engagement in our communities, the videos that we ask our community to contribute virtually. And they've been really, really popular. So I think it's something that you might want to try as well if you have the capability to do this. And that gets people engaged, and they want to see themselves. They want to see their kids on Sunday. So we show these on Sunday just briefly, and it's created a lot of fun in our Sunday services. So that's kind of what I wanted to share with you guys. And then Reverend Jane now is going to share things from her perspective, which may be totally different. Maybe she's going to say everything I said was a bunch of crap. And so here's the real story from Reverend Jane. Ta-da!
Thank you.